Welcome back to round number 2 of the LMGT Sprint Series here on RCI TV. We join you from the Ardennes, a wet Ardennes here at Circuit Spa-Francorchamps, a track that needs no introduction, but we'll give it one anyway. Why not? Here in Le Mans Ultimate, it boasts the most up-to-date representation of the track as any sim. Hello, everybody, and welcome in. Qualifying just underway. I'm Jesse Lee, joined by Katrina, with Ted Edwards back behind the cameras this week. 15 minutes, not a split quali session. Everybody out there, because it is LMGT cars only. Katrina, welcome in, and I think the first order of business is, does anyone have anything for Aston Martin? They were dominant in Portugal a week ago.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Jesse. I'm really excited to see if there are people, drivers on the track that can, take a good go at the Astons. Like you said last week, we saw them very dominant, very possessive out on the track. So it'll be really good to see if anybody can challenge them today. Hopefully the weather will play a part on that as well. Hopefully we get to see something a bit more entertaining.
We certainly wondered at the conclusion a week ago, was it just the track that favored the Aston Martin? Speaking of which, here is Zach Vermack, who dominated much of round number 1 at Algarve in Portugal. We wondered if it was just a course that suited the horse or whatnot, but I can tell you, we watched practice that happened just prior to the qualifying session, and it was pretty much this. We had a couple of Astons up there, but BMW and Ford looking strong as well. But practice one thing, qualifying quite another. They have 15 minutes to set a representative time. Validating, always a possibility here, and that's the other possibility, going through Pouan, completely losing it and ending up facing the wrong direction. Tricky, treacherous 7-kilometer track this here in Spa.
Yeah, absolutely. Great to see, some different people at the minute. We just watched a little bit of them practicing, and it looks like some of the BMW seem to be fast, so hopefully we can see some cars set some lap times, and looking forward to what we have got in the race. I'm wondering if energy today will play a part with the rain as well, something that I was just thinking about a second ago. Wondering if we can see cars get to the end of the race with maybe the wet weather helping them out a little bit, or also look forward to.
It's a very good point. This is the site one season ago, our very first season of LMU that we did. We saw cars make it to the end in a somewhat similar condition. It was raining slightly harder in that first race at Spa in season number 1 of LMU racing. It's not quite raining too awfully hard, and we don't expect it to change. It's just this light drizzle, so we can expect the drivers to be out there on the dry tire. But make no mistake, the track's not necessarily rubbered in. The times are going to be slower, and that definitely makes it more possible to make it without having to come in to refill that virtual energy system. More on that when the race gets started, but just the top headlines we're keeping track of here today. Of course, the track's so big, nobody has set a representative time yet. They're still making their way around and just starting their very first flying lap. One of the cars we'll be paying attention to is that Ford Mustang Martin Lawrence behind the wheel, who, had they not had to come from obscurity, they may have had something to challenge the very front runners in the end in Portugal a week ago, but alas, it wasn't meant to be.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw them drive a phenomenal race last week after having not so great of a start. So looking forward to seeing what kind of times are being set by that Ford, and hopefully, up there, and can make today's start race count for themselves.
Certainly so. Christoph Ostreipa sets the very first time, 20.287. Good enough for provisional pole. Felipe Breicha comes in P2. half a second off of that, and less than 1/100th off of that. Actually, I tell a lie, a little bit more than that, 18/100ths off of that is Zeno Van Driesche in third place. It's a Ford 2 Mustangs and a Ferrari, or at least it was Wilkinson in fourth place. Now it's Ryan Gill, or as we sometimes call him, Tony Gill. Don't ask. 6.5 tenths off the ultimate pace as they go through. Liggins in sixth place now behind Wilkinson, and Lily Armstrong in seventh place. Declerco in eighth, and they all go around as Vermack has gone to the top of the board. It's a 20.147, a little over or a little under 1.5 tenths faster than Christoph Estrepa. So we do have an Aston out front, but I think that's more to the credit of Vermack's pace than anything else. A lot of BMWs up there right now.
Yeah, absolutely, Jesse. It looks like we might be seeing a bit of a comeback from the BMWs. Obviously, Vermack out front still in the Aston, but always good to see some new manufacturers come up there, just as we see Valet take sixth position in his McLaren.
Certainly is going to be very fluid this qualifying session, as sometimes you just don't get that lap in initially. It takes you a few laps. Of course, mixed conditions here. The track is not what I would call dry by any stretch of the imagination, but not necessarily wet either. The wipers are not even really precursory. It's just sort of a force of habit right now. The only thing really necessary, of course, are the lights, since it is sort of a wet or a mixed racetrack. Nearly everybody that I can see on the dry tire, at least to my broken eyes, as it's not even wet enough to facilitate the wet weather Michelin tires. Felipe Brecha went to the top of the board only to be beaten by Christoph Estrepa, a 2:20.048, the current quickest, 21/100ths quicker than Brecha, who shares the front row, and 1/10 quicker than Vermack was able to do on their first quick lap. I think we're going to have a little bit of a qualifying duel to start this race.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like we're going to have a little bit of a battle out the front for that pole position. You know, not only the pole position, as we see Gil go fastest in his BMW, which isn't unheard from. We've seen Gil do well in the past in previous championships that we've run here, so not surprised. Obviously, wonder if he'll keep hold of that. There's still 7 minutes left. There's still plenty of time.
Gil to the point, but only for a minute. Vermack comes back through 4/10ths quicker than anyone else. It's our first 19 on 19.585 for Vermack. That is a absolutely incredible time there, as everyone's fighting over the top. Hard to say if the track is rubbering up a little bit or if they're just getting more brave out there. One way or another, the times are certainly tumbling more than a second off from where we started qualifying, and 6 minutes left to play. Enough time to get about 3 more laps if you're on the track right about now. Just about everybody is on the track. Vermack, Gill, Estrepa, Brecha, Van Driesche, Lawrence, Valet, Wilkinson, Liggins, and Huell, the top 10 right now. This sort of illustrates what we've got going on here. You see, it's not raining very heavily at all. I wouldn't even put on a raincoat for this, Katrina. I don't know about you, but this isn't even really bothersome at this point.
No, absolutely, Jesse. It doesn't seem like it's really making a lot of difference on the track either at the moment. Not seeing anybody really look like they're struggling or anything with the grip on the tires. So definitely just a little spray of water more than a sprinkling of rain.
I've had hotel showers that spit better than this. It's just not doing very much out there. It's barely enough to smear on the windscreens of the race cars, but just riding on board the Team WRT 46 BMW with Felipe Brecha behind the wheel, one of the top sort of competing drivers here in qualifying. It goes to show you, Spa is Spa. Said at the top of the show, you don't need an introduction at this racetrack, but honestly, it's just, you marvel at it every single time you come here. He actually set the purple Sector 1, the quickest of all Sector 1, by nearly a tenth, 94 100ths of a second. Now they're going to chatter down to Bruxelles and down into Speakers or No Name, depending on who you ask. Some people don't even name the corner, but of course, this is the newly recontoured safer corner that was instituted a few years ago and has been implemented here in LMU. They'll be very quickly coming through sector number 2, and I'm curious to see. They had the purple, fastest of all, sector number 1. What will they do for sector 2? I saw a couple of slips there, if I'm honest, and I think that's just wrestling the car a little bit. We'll see how much that has bothered him. He will exit sector number 2 here in just a moment. Sort of wrestling the car just a little bit. I've sworn he would have passed sector 2 time. I don't know why sector 2 time hasn't come up. I'm pretty sure we're in sector 3 right now, but nevertheless, has to beat a 19.585. Possible he's invalidated, and that's why the timing and scoring hasn't updated, or it's going to throw us a complete dummy, Katrina, and update when he gets to the line here in a second.
Yeah, Jesse, I'm not really sure why it's not updated. Like you say, it could be an invalidation, at which point he'd probably be disappointed, considering, you know, he was up on his time to start off with.
It was an invalidation.
Still got
Or
3 minutes
was
left.
it?
Can definitely put in another lap though. Do you know what I mean? So he'll be happy. Definitely probably kicking himself a little bit, but
Well, now I'm not too sure that was an invalidation because he's within a quarter of a second of Vermac, and he certainly wasn't a lap ago. So I think what happened there is the timing and scoring just did not, it just refused to update for us. That was an improvement, as best we can tell, by Mr. Brecha, and he has gone back to P2. He's a quarter of a second off of Vermac's time. Here's I'd say one of the stars of the show. I think Martin Lawrence and Vermac did a great job making a name for themselves early in the championship, but so did Ryan Cassidy as well. Came in as an AM driver a week ago into the series, but Katrina, I hear that you've been told he isn't an AM driver anymore.
yeah, absolutely. I had a cheeky little peek at some of the stand-ins, and it does look like that he has been bumped up to pro. We did say that might happen last week, to be fair, after his fantastic performance out front. So yeah, looking forward to seeing what he can do up there with the pro drivers this week, and seeing if he can continue to make such a name for himself, and, you know, take his well-deserved place in pro.
He's not doing too bad this week either. He's P6 right now. Was down on even his own personal best sector one time. He might have just enough time to get back around and start another lap. We'll see if that is indeed the case. But right now, it's a 19.585 that everyone is trying to beat. Brecha's got the closest over Verstrepen, Gill, and Van Driesch, the top 5. 3 BMWs, a Ford, and an Aston Martin inside of the top 5 right now. Outside looking in, Ryan Cassidy, Lawrence, Merchant, De Clerico, Valet is the top 10. Keep in mind, we mentioned that there are 2 different classes. They're all the same car, LMGTs, all set up the same, albeit setup choice will be different, of course. For whomever is driving the car, they'll want different things, but the cars are the same. What is different is the skill, the speed. So there is a pro and an AM classification that will not be displayed on your screen, but just like last week, we'll keep you updated with that as best we can.
Absolutely, like you say, we'll try our best to make sure everybody's very aware of who's in what split when it comes to who's on the racetrack. Sometimes it's a bit hard for us even, you know, but we will try our best, and I can tell you that currently we have Tom Watt, who is taking the lead of the AM category. So I can definitely tell you that he is an driver, so definitely one to look out for. And the number 13, in 13th place, number 70, Watts.
There you go. Tom Watts currently leading that class. And as it always comes down to it here in RCI, we always have a interpersonal discussion on what cars sound great. And I mean, I think you need your ears checked if you thought that this Aston did not sound absolutely angelic, especially going around Spa. Is there anything better? I mean, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Maybe a 787B, but then again, you have to wear earplugs and ear defenders at the same time to be around that. Broadcaster Ted says maybe the Mustang, his money, a little bit better. Raphael Huell tried to do a little bit better on this lap and improve on the timing sheet. In 11th place here, had their quickest second sector, and that's going to be a big improvement. At 21.047 puts them inside the top 10 in 8th place. Well, that's going to just about do it for qualifying. Vermac does it again over Breccia. They will share the front row. And I think the main takeaway from that quali was it isn't Aston dominance, it's Vermac dominance. And the wet weather that we're experiencing, that we expect to experience all weekend long, Katrina, didn't really play a factor in that session.
No, absolutely. It definitely looks like that we're gonna see another great race dominated by an Aston, maybe. So, yeah, like you say, I don't think the weather's going to be that much of a hassle for us from what we've seen so far in qualifying. If it continues to stay the same, with just the very very bare light drizzle that we've seen, yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to play that much of a factor.
Hopefully, it will not going through today's race. But of course, we don't know what state the track's going to be reset to when we go racing. But before we do that, let's take a look at the championship standings after the one round. This is starting off with the pro category. Ryan Cassidy leading the way over Raphael Huell and Zach Vermack. All those quite close indeed. And remember, bonus points at play have changed some of the positions and promotions from some of the AM drivers into the pro class, has also managed to change the outcome. Angela Scotti in fourth place. Martin Lawrence gets fifth place. Ryan Gill, sixth place after what you might have considered either a triumphant return or a slight disappointment for Ryan Gill. Either way, Kanani in seventh. Van Driesch, Badowski, Wilkinson. Out your top 10 in pro. Outside of that, it's Savick, Minsman, Liggins, Valet, Conkley, Martins, Jackson, Daly, Vestrepa, Breccia, and Durazio. Most of those drivers that have zero from 15th on back are midseason signups or just did not participate in round number one, but I believe are here today. Remember, one car here, one classification of car, LMGTs, but two classifications of skill level. Here is how the AM championship looks after one round. Tom Watts, DeClerico, Whittle, the top three. Takahashi, Bishuto, Demishin, Dekin, Alsa, Racer, and Varga, the top 10, with Peter Varga either not getting points a week ago. Actually, I just remembered Peter Varga left a message in our chat last week saying that they were unable to participate. But these are the AM drivers that have yet to score points. Some of these drivers joining us mid-season. Some of these drivers, Katrina, had a frustrating round number one. A lot of drivers in both classes looking to rebound in round number two. Well, the car's on the grid, getting ready to go. Won't be very long now. Here is how qualifying shook out. Vermac, Breccia, the front row. Vestrepa, Gill, Van Driesch, Cassidy, Lawrence, Huell, Merchant, DeClerico. Top 10 will start today's race. Valet, Wilkinson, Watts, Armstrong, Martins, Liggins, Campbell, Vandervoken, Rizov, Whittle, the top 20. Jurgen, D'Orazio, Vargas, Scotty Ball, Mims Man, Forrest, Samerson, Cotton, Fasciuto, the top 30. Is there another page? There is not. There is exactly 30 cars. That's a lot of cars on track tonight. Before we get going, just want to give a shout out to our partners that make this race and every race possible. Ready, Set, Sim. Check them out over on their website. Link in the description of the video. Coach Dave Delta, Coach Dave Academy can almost guarantee there's many Coach Dave setups in today's race, as there often are. Green Man Gaming. Go to Green Man Gaming. Follow our link. Get yourself a deal on newly released games. Hey, man, did you guys like that shadow drop of the Oblivion remaster? I haven't played it, but I've heard it's absolutely fantastic. It's exactly what we needed, and hopefully that holds us over until Elder Scrolls 6 comes out at some point. But you can get a deal on it, I believe, at Green Man Gaming. Moza Racing, direct drive sim racing hardware, quality sim racing hardware that doesn't break the bank at Moza Racing. And a big shout out to Motorsports UK for recommending us as an esports community. Katrina, before we get going here, what do we expect out in front here? Do we expect a battle, or do we expect the usual suspects to get away from the field here in that Aston?
I'm gonna say a battle. I'm gonna think the people, slightly behind the Aston are just gonna want to take it away from the Aston. So, hopefully nice clean, but hopefully a battle I would love to see.
Well, question one has already sort of been answered, of course, and that is, will there be Aston dominance here like there was a week ago at Algarve? The answer is no, there isn't. There's only one inside the top 4 or 5, and that's pretty good. There's actually more BMWs than anything else. But here we go, 60 minutes of racing in RCI's LMGT Sprint Championship, round number 2 at Spa. And we are about to go green. And in fact, we do on the Formula Straight. And what a fantastic start it was from Vermac Brescia, unable to challenge into La Source for the first time. The Mustang's gone around. And is that Verstrepe? It is Christoph Verstrepe. I thought for a second it was one of the other Mustangs. It is not. Christoph Verstrepe has spun the tires in La Source and has gone around. I don't think anyone else has hit them, but they may have hit the wall themselves. Oh, it's huge here. The number 27 of Raphael Huell has gone around. Did they make it all the way to the wall? They did. They've clattered into the wall. The rear wing of that car is gone. There's a Ferrari up as well as they crest Radion. And that is not how you wanted to start this race if you're one of those 3 drivers.
No, absolutely. It definitely looks like some more went off in the background.
Oh boy.
Not ideal. Maybe the tyres being a bit cold, after standing there for a little while are causing havoc. So definitely lots of action going on, Jesse. Definitely lots of cars going off the track.
There was an Aston off. I don't know if that was Watts, Valet, or even Merchant. I'm not sure who that was off. And then immediately after that, I think I saw Miguel Martins maybe go off, or there into the dirt coming through Lacombe that time. It just goes to show you the grip level is never where you left it. Maybe a little over eager, off on the wrong side of the racetrack, but I think the majority of drivers were able to get away with that, with the exception of anyone who went off sort of in between turns 1 and 4. After that, I think everybody else was able to get away cleanly. Well, Brescia has gotten by Vermac as well. So somewhere in the midst of all that chaos, Philippe Brescia has taken the lead of the race from Vermac. Ryan Gill now looking to put the pressure on Vermac and get by them for P2 now all of a sudden.
Yeah, absolutely. The start maybe he wasn't so kind to Vermac, and now Ryan's going to try and, optimize all of the racetrack that he can. And, whilst he's got the pressure there from Philippe Brescia, they're trying to fight them. Ryan's behind. So, yeah, all exciting. Hopefully we can see some good racing and moves on the track, and hopefully Ryan can stay up there with the 2 leaders.
One of the Astons has gone into the pit lane. That wasn't Scotty, I don't believe. No, it wasn't Scotty. Is it Dorazio? It is Carlo Dorazio. They've come down the pit lane, and I would suspect that's the 27, or that's one of the Astons we saw have issues earlier on, unless they had a penalty and out of position on the start, and they are serving that. But Philippe Brescia has taken Vermac for the lead of the race. Ryan Gill trying to pile on the pressure, but it's falling back a little bit. Van Driesch up to 4th. Martin Lawrence in 5th place. Cassidy, Del Clerico, Valet, Merchant, and Armstrong your current top 10 with several other drivers having issues early on. We've already had a couple of DNFs.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen Raphael Hill come in and, decide not to continue his race after the start. So fortunate to see. Hopefully we'll see him back next week with a better race. And yeah, hopefully he gets that Aston back out and shows us what we know that he can do from the first race.
Yeah, we'd like to see the drivers continue, but we saw the back of Raphael Kuhl's car, the wing completely gone. They would have had to have driven around the entirety of the racetrack. It would have been minutes in pit lane to get that sorted out. There would have been at least a lap down, maybe even more. So you can kind of understand sort of the headspace that they were in. Richard Whittle in the thick of it here. 23rd place, that they are currently being hounded for that position, as you see these little pockets of racing break out throughout the entire pack. Bolecha not giving up the lead, but not gaining any sort of gap on Vermac as they stay nose to tail. Ryan Gill, who was a little bit behind, all things considered, has caught right back up. Zach Vermac almost into the back of Footy Brecha there. Ryan Gill now down to the inside. Ryan Gill down to the inside, or up the outside, I should say, trying to make the move. Can't quite get it done, has to fall back in line. And look, Zeno Van Driesch has joined him. It's a 4-car breakaway at the front of this field. Every single one of them now looks like they have pace.
Yeah, absolutely. Ryan's got to be a bit careful here. So obviously if you try and make a move and it doesn't quite go successful, you can leave the door open for Van Driesch behind. So yeah, definitely something that Ryan's thinking about now, in a bit of a sandwich, as we see Peter Varga in the Proton Racing Ford come down the pit lane.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what they're coming down the pit lane for, unless it's a penalty. I do believe we saw another car do the exact same thing, so it's very possible they've got a penalty. Reese Wilkinson's kind of going over the line like they're going to come into pit. Now, this is interesting from Reese Wilkinson and the JMW Motorsports Ferrari. Could they be back timing the race, essentially getting the pit stop out of the way, getting out of traffic, getting sort of away from everyone else, and they appear to be running the race backwards. Now, if they got damage, if they were one of the Ferraris, Katrina, that got involved in that lap 1 incident, it's very possible that they have damage that they don't feel comfortable driving with. But either way, they've come in now, and they shouldn't have to pit again. But I suspect it is, as I originally feared, that there has been drama out there, because Richard Whittle has retired the TF Sport Corvette. Reese Wilkinson has not retired the Ferrari, though, and they are back out. But that was definitely longer than it would take to refill the energy. So certainly they were repairing or changing tires, something on that car.
I'm just going to jump straight back in and just say that we have seen Vermac in that time take the lead back of the race. So I don't know what's happening out front, but something's definitely happened. Brecha now sitting a good 0.4 seconds behind.
Do you realize that you've called it before? Or you've called it again, rather, I should say, for the millionth time. I think we should just rename this the Listen to Katrina Championship, because for whatever reason, you call it straight. You said there was going to be a battle for the lead early. There was. Brecha took it. Vermac's taken it back. And now Gill and Van Driesch will try and get a position themselves on Brecha before Vermac gets too far away. Colin Campbell in the middle of a sandwich right now, down in 17th place. I believe that's Rizov. It is Rizov, the driver from North Macedonia, leading this particular charge, and it's creating a little bit of a stack up behind them for the time being, as everyone's jockeying for position 2 by 2 behind them, though. Doing well to keep it off of each other, you got to say.
Yeah, absolutely. Going too wide into any corner is definitely brave, but keeping it nice and clean. And as you see, as I just saw a car go sideways, Jesse, I feel like I just guessed it.
Well, Katrina's always right. Welcome to the Katrina's Always Right Grand Prix. And once again, another incident. Callum Kerrigan involved. Christoph Verstappen is involved. Verstappen's wing is off of the Proton Racing 44 Mustang, and that might be day done for Christoph Verstappen. And getting the car back going is Callum Kerrigan, but the front of that GR Racing Ferrari very much askew. Madame Mim's man, I don't know if they're coming out of the pit lane or if they were also involved in the incident, but once again, correct as always.
Yeah, absolutely, Jesse. Not really wanting to be correct at that point, but correct I was. It does sound like Christoph Verstappen has decided to DNF, and yeah, unfortunate because obviously we saw him out there, good qualifying from him, and then obviously that little, you know, incident at the start that looked like it was a little bit self-inflicted just means that he was at the back of the pack, and then yeah, obviously that one was just enough, with maybe enough damage of the car, and just decided that he doesn't want to continue the race any further. So again, not great to see, but happens sometimes. Hopefully we'll see him back on form next week.
Well, Raphael Huell has communicated that the engine in his car died when I think I know what's happened. I think it spun backwards in gear whenever he was sliding out and he was revving it, and I think it blew up is what happened whenever he was skidding out. Further information from Mr. Withel says that, and I'm quoting here, turns out you need to keep all four wheels on the Corvette or attached to the Corvette. Yeah, that's a good idea. Typically, cars are better with four wheels.
Yeah, I was going to say, Jesse, I don't think that's primarily just a Corvette thing. I'm going to be real. I think that's a car thing in general.
Yeah, the Reliant Robins Owners Club would like to have a word with you. But besides those very distinguished individuals,
they're like a half a car, though. Do you know what I mean?
Ted's also pointed out the Morgan Owners Club would also like to have a word, but the Morgan Owners Club hasn't heard of any vehicle that's made out of anything but wood, so they don't have telephones. So we'll have to we can completely gloss over that. Vermac, though, we can't gloss over the fact that Vermac has a 1 second lead on Philippe Brecha. Brecha still holding off Gil and Van Der Esch for the time being. Martin Lawrence hanging out in the wings, but has caught Zeno just a little bit, and we're not quite into the portion of the race, but Katrina, we see this week after week with Martin Lawrence, don't we, where they just sort of exist for a certain portion of the race, and then about 20 minutes to half a stint in, for whatever reason, Martin Lawrence just comes alive, especially in that Mustang, and he's starting to claw his way back here a little bit as well, as we see Callum Kerrigan come in to the attention of the team, certainly to repair some of that damage and do their pit stop.
Yeah, to be fair, Jesse, you're right. Like, Martin has a habit of, sitting there and being very comfortable, but knowing that he has the speed to do better. And we've seen him come from the back of the pack before to, finish in podium position. So sitting very comfortably in 5th position right now, I'm very confident that we will see him up there, maybe, fighting for a podium position later on in the race. So like you say, still 48 minutes left of this race, still a lot that Martin can do.
Certainly is. Vermac might have slipped on their last lap because Brecha, Gil, and Van Der Esch all gained considerable time in that last sector. I'm not entirely sure. It might have been the straightaway, but one way or another, certainly Brecha and Gil gained just a little bit. A little bit. They gained considerably. Bono thunderstorms. This is a fairy tale, said Michelle Rodriguez. Yeah, just light rain here, just a drizzle, a persistent, annoying drizzle, not even enough to soak the racetrack today. Oh, and Mr. Withel has told us that cars need four wheels is news to them. So there you go. It doesn't need it, but if it was designed with four wheels and you take one away, it's not going to operate as well as it normally would. If you have 10 fingers and you take one away, you can still use your hands. It just won't grip the same. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like it's the way it's meant to be, you know.
Katrina, you're an artist. Do you think that if you removed a digit, do you think that you could still draw?
Depends which one.
Well, obviously not the thumb or
Not
the
the thumb.
index.
You can take my pinky away.
Do you think you'd manage without the pinky?
Yeah, but then I think you can learn to adapt to most things, to be honest, Jesse. I feel like if you were meant to have a car with three wheels on, four wheels, but
Mm.
then you had three, but you learnt to, you know, drive a car with three wheels, you know, eventually you'd get used to driving a car with three wheels. Now, I'm not going to say it's the speediest or it's the best car that you'll ever drive, but you can get used to it.
There you have it. Vermac, by the way, is losing time. Felipe Brecha, that sector again lost time, and they're going to continue to try and pursue. And meanwhile, a little bit further back in the pack, one of the Mustangs trying to pick up on some of the positions, and all these cars, for my money, through that middle sector, Katrina looked a little bit out of control. All of them hitting the dirt over the curbs. Very scary indeed. And here it is, the race for the lead again. They're going to go side by side, just about out of La Source for the first time, and they end up single file through Eau Rouge Radion. But how long will they be that way, looking for any sort of position as Felipe Brecha looks to the outside, looks to the inside, jumps back in line as they come through the Kimmel Straight. Vermac is going to use the defensive inside line. Brecha will oblige. They'll go around the outside up to Lacombe, who will have the better run. They're going to just about touch. If they didn't touch, they got as close as you could. You can't fit a sheet of paper in between them. They're really struggling with grip here, and they're trying to stay off of each other. Good, respectful racing here, but very close quarters indeed. A bad run off of the corner from Vermac allows Brecha to have another sniff, and he's going to go wide here. Down the inside of Bruxelles is Philippe Brecha. Vermac could not keep the car on the inside, getting a little argy-bargy here. Brecha backs off and reloads again. He's going to go down to the inside after Speaker's corner. They're going into Pouon this time. Vermac should be left for dead here, and is. They're going to try and get a nice wide arc here. Very dangerous in this weather condition, but I think they've just about managed it. But the damage done. Felipe Brecha, for the course of the first and second sector, has retaken the lead. Cyril Valle, though, for United Autosports, that McLaren has DNF'd. Forced to believe a solo incident there, but what about Felipe Brecha? Put the pressure back on, took him a couple laps to get up there, didn't waste any time, was all over him, got the job done.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, both drivers there trying to keep nice and, you know, respectful, trying to keep some space. Got a little bit side by side, but overall, some great racing.
Yeah, here is the incident from Cyril Valle. It looks like a single car incident, just gets a little bit wide coming over the top of Radion, and it's a tale as old as time. Yeah, just a wiggle, and gonna back it into the wall here. And the wing's gone. And that is going to be a retirement. And that's what happened to Cyril Valle. Well caught there by our broadcaster, Ted Edwards.
Yeah, absolutely. Ryan Cassidy still having a good race over in sixth position. Just kind of a little bit on his own, and probably enjoying it, to be honest, a little bit. Not having to fight, you know, not having to like defend or anything. Just out there. After the performance we saw in the bump up, sixth position for him. I'm sure if I was in AM last week, I'd be proud of sixth position right now.
I think I'd be proud with sixth position considering what's happened thus far in this race. Clearly, the track is not particularly favorable. Is it a wet track? No, but it's definitely a dirty track, and you can very easily get caught off guard, and we've seen that happen to 4 or 5 different people thus today. Typically, Katrina, what you want, right, is you want it to either be completely dry or completely wet. In the middle is where you run into the dangerous zone of the unknown, and that's exactly what we're seeing here today. Ball and Forrest in the pit lane. Now, these are routine pit stops. These are drivers coming in that know that they cannot make it on their virtual energy. They're pitting now as if to get out of traffic and to also potentially undercut several other drivers they may potentially be racing. Marco Fasciuzzo trying their best to take 17th place away from one of the Astons. So D'Orazio, Art of Racing Aston, in that 17th place. Those two racing well together. Katrina, I got to ask you, going back to the race of the lead, there was contact between Brecha and Vermaak, but was that fair racing in your mind?
Yes, I must say yes. From watching it from this perspective, obviously we're not in the car. We don't see what's going on. Like, we're not in control of the cars. But watching it from my perspective, just as we see Daniels do a little spin out there, luckily he held it well enough. We'll make his way back onto the race and continue. Yeah. So going back to the beginning, the leaders, I think it was a fair fight. I think they were both very respectful to each other for a long period of time, like going like backs and forth like that. You can get a bit irate, but you know, a little bit of contact was to be expected with how I think the cars are handling on the track. But yeah, so that would be my my take on it. I think, yeah, everything was done very, very well by both drivers.
Brecha has come down the pit lane, several other cars coming into the pit lane. So this pretty much answers our question. Could they make it on one energy bar? The answer is no. A huge move there by one of the Astons that did not stop on their mark. They had to get completely moved around. And Cassidy, oh, I love this. This is one of my favorite things about LMU. When you pit up behind somebody, oh no, oh, it's contact in the pit lane. That's the thing that I don't like. But Ryan Gill, significant contact into the side of that race car. But I was just going to say, one of my favorite things about LMU is that if you pit up next to somebody, they put the car up on the dollies and they put you in a position, Le Mans style, so you can release safely. But that was anything but a safe release, as that was significant contact. Felipe Brecha started the trend, come down pit lane first, but had a longer stop. Did they accidentally forget to uncheck tires?
I'm thinking that that could have been the case, Jesse, or maybe they had a little bit of damage. I'm gonna say it, Jesse. I'm gonna be bold and I'm gonna say it. Do you think it's started to rain heavier? As
No,
we've seen
I think you're
a
right, Katrina. Yeah.
majority of the cars have now come into the pit lane, which is the first time we've seen this so far. Normally we see a good couple, you know, wait until, you know, the last 10 minutes or the 8 minutes. That's been a very prominent strategy that we've seen here in the LMGTs. So yeah, I wonder if the rain has started to pick up and that's why people have decided, you know, now's the time to come in to pit.
I'd be curious to see the tire graphic and see exactly what people are
Hmm.
going on. I think those are Michelin wets on that car. And Katrina, do you ever get tired of being told that you're right? Because like this is the third or fourth time today. Um, this is incredible. So there are wets. Everyone that has come into the pit lane, you're very much right, has gone out on wet tires. Vermaak, Lawrence, Van Driesch, Martins, and Armstrong are out there on the medium Michelin tires. Everyone else has come in and put on the Michelin wet weather tires. That is completely a credit to your point. I think
Hmm.
the rain is coming down harder. It is actually. You can see in the background now, can't you, how dark it has become. Remember, it wasn't this dark earlier, and it's only getting worse. Look at that. The fog rolling in over the mountains and the weather starting to come down. Well spotted. We're going to have to start calling you meteorologist, Katrina, after this.
I think it was just the case. I saw loads of people come into the pit lane, Jesse, and like I say, consistently throughout, even like the last championship that we did, a lot of people waited until the last 10 minutes to do a pit stop. So to see, you know, the majority of people come in around the 30, like, you know, 40 to 37-minute mark was just a bit, it
Mm.
flagged up in my brain, a bit of an issue. So yeah, so we do actually have a change of leader at the minute because obviously Vermaak has come back in. So Gill is now the leader of the race, which he'll probably be very excited about right now, and hopefully he can hold on.
Zach Vermack had a longer pit stop as well, so we're not entirely sure what happened to the Heart of Racing Aston from Zach Vermack, your pole-sitting car, but they have come in and out. Now, could that be that some of the cars they were racing came in and got wets a lap or so earlier? That's very much a possibility, but also, too, I think they had a longer stop anyway, so this has not gone the way of your pole-sitter Vermack thus far, and now they're going to be sort of raced right now, or racing other people rather at the same time. But Ryan Gill has got out in front. We talked about Breccia. They had a slightly longer stop as well. Gill, who had contact leaving the pit lane, but beyond the contact that they had, they still had a quick stop. They are down and away. They are on wet tires, and Ryan Gill leads here at Spa.
Yeah, absolutely. A good 3.8 seconds away from the person behind you as well. Gil's probably thinking confidently, maybe not so confident after that little that little unsettle of the car. I'm not gonna lie, I feel like I'm just eating my words there a little bit. But yeah, he's probably thinking now's the time, to really like get in the zone, embrace the very moist track that is happening right now, and just trying to get some laps in.
Oh, it's so uncomfortable. I'm hanging on to my seat right now. This is not good. Like I said, you either want the track to be dry or wet. What you don't want it to be is in a state of flux. That's exactly how we find ourselves right here. That's exactly what's going on. So if it looks how sketchy Ryan is, this is the leader of the race. I'm going to stress that enough. This is the leader of the race. This is a man who's won many of these LMU races here in RCI competition, and he's struggling right now to put the power down, to grip. And despite how sketchy that lap looked, he was at least on pace with Breccia, if not quicker than Breccia that last lap. Martin Lawrence has also benefited from this cycle of pit stops. The number 88 Ford Mustang with Lawrence up to P3 right now, 5 seconds off the overall pace. Everybody out there on wets. Vermack back into the pit lane. Van Driesche also back into the pit lane this time through.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely something strange that Vermack has come back in. Maybe something wasn't right in his car and he's, decided that he wants to come back in and change it.
So that's interesting. Zeno, I'm pretty sure Zeno had already been down the pit lane. And another pit stop for them. I think, Katrina, what's happened is that Vermack and Van Driesche came in and did not put wet tires on, or something went wrong in their pit stop. Maybe they had wets only on one corner of the race car. I'm not entirely sure. But they definitely come down again. And the only thing I can think of is they had mismatched tires, or they didn't change tires like they thought they were gonna, or something. Very strange indeed. But both the cars having a similar issue. That has completely undone Vermack's outside the top 10. So I'm not... What we're looking for here in this replay is to see if there was mismatched tires, but it's not. And if it's not that, I am completely clueless as to why both those cars had to come in twice.
Yeah, absolutely, Jesse. I'm also confused, but leave it with me. I'm gonna investigate.
I feel like we're in a constant state of confusion around here. Federico has retired, and Stanislav Samashin, the only Porsche 911, the Manthey 92, nearly buries it into the wall, but they were able to drive away from that incident. Let's see exactly what happened to Samashin. Going to be a wiggle here. Oh, it just hit the curb and lost it. Oh, that was a big one, but because of the angle, sort of the rear quarter took most of the brunt, the wing able to stay on the car, but that will be significant damage. And now that car, I believe, has retired. Yeah, it has retired. Stanislav has retired. The Manti Porsche here, joining a bunch of other cars in the pit lane. The rain coming down harder here. We were expecting light rain showers today. We had that for at least half of the race, for qualifying and half of the race thereabout, and now it's come in a little bit more significant. Ryan Gill, though, giving up ground. It was 3.5 seconds. It's down to 1 second. Felipe Brecha may have given up time in the pit lane, Katrina, but he's coming back to the front.
Yeah, absolutely. He knows what that car can do. He's very confident on, being able to get that car up back into the lead of the race, and hopefully we see two BMWs go, at it for the lead. Like I say, nice and clean, hopefully, but definitely is trying to get back and is confident that his car should be at the front.
I love the variability in LMU weather. We were told, we were given the forecast of light rain showers throughout the entire day here at Spa-Francorchamps, and it was very light indeed. We expected that to stay that way, but I would still consider this a light rain shower, but it is more significant than it had been up until this point today. I think it caught a lot of drivers off guard, but I was looking at the forecast, and nothing odd in the forecast. It's just the variability in it, and that's exactly what you're seeing here as Zeno down the inside of the Mustang, trying to make that move for 13th place, and in fact will be able to stick it in there. There will be a more little contact between the two of them. Varga's not giving that up in the yellow Mustang you see there, and in fact actually re-wins the position there into Pouin. Steve Mason in chat's pointing out Tom Watts is up a ton of spots, 7 positions up into the 6th place spot. And correct me, Katrina, if I'm wrong, Tom Watts is in the AM class, I do believe.
No, that is absolutely true, Jesse. We have seen another great drive from an Am driver today. Hopefully, he continues to stay up in 6th and make some positions. Always good to see as we see cars sliding their rear ends out going around that last corner, Jesse. To be fair, yeah.
Angela Scotti up 20 positions, but keep in mind, Angela has not pitted. So that's where a lot of their positions have come from. I don't know if Cotton down in 12th place has pitted. Nope. Cotton has pitted, but has gained a bunch of spots. So no, so Scotty is on wet tires. Angela started on the wet tire. Now, there is no regulation in RCI that says you have to come into pit. There's no required pit stop, but there is a generally accepted limitation of the cars can't make it on one fill up of virtual energy. Now, we saw here, like in the hypercar race, that you can make it if it is raining. The question will now become, is this rain enough? Is it slowing down the pace enough that maybe Scotty can finish this race out? Because if Angela can do that, hands down driver of the day, I think, would have to go to Scotty in that case. All those positions, just that forward thinking and the good virtue that the rain came down harder when it did. Gill continuing to lose a bit of time here, but H.O.'s not driven away, but perhaps more importantly, as if on the dot, completely where we would expect about halfway into the race, somebody has flipped the switch and Martin Lawrence has been activated.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, we've seen that car and that driver do particularly well. Maybe not so in, I don't think we've seen him much in the wet that I can remember, but definitely very confident as we see him go past Gill there to take 2nd position. So very happy, very confident.
Of course, won the mixed condition race at Interlagos to end the last championship in the Ford Mustang. But of course, that race sort of finished in the dry, I do believe. So in the wet portion, he was sort of reserved. Really, it was only in the dry that we saw them come alive. But I think that more just had to do with the win. The way it went. I think if it was dry to start with and wet at the end, I think you'd have saw the same result out of Mr. Lawrence, and you're certainly seeing that exact thing here today. Now the question is, Brecha and Lawrence, they're friends. They're both from the Czech Republic, and they know each other quite well indeed. The last thing you want to do, they're teammates on a good day, they're teammates. On a bad day, they don't speak to each other. But the point I'm making is they have to race each other cleanly here, otherwise they're going to give Ryan Gill a W. Oh, she can make it, Katrina. She can make it. This is Angela Scotty's virtual energy. She's got this.
So actually, like, intuition-wise, Angela smashed this. Like, almost like she knew the rain was coming. Because she started on wet tyres when it wasn't particularly a wet track, but to the point now where it's going to pay off because she's racing on a wet track and she has more than enough energy to get her to the end.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, of course, there is practice sessions, and that does sort of mimic what you can expect. But again, because there is variability in the weather pattern, you can't really know for sure. But Angela going out, starting the race, one of the only cars that started, potentially the only car that started out on wets that at least survived the opening couple of laps. They were able to hold out and gain all those spots. And the only problem I would say now that Scotty has is that they're out there on worn wet tires. And will that deteriorate in the next 25 minutes? It may do, but because of the size of the gaps, they may still get away with this in the end. But right now, looking really good, up 20 spots as Angela Scotty in the 27 Aston up into fourth place. But the race for the lead, on board cam for Martin Lawrence's Proton Ford Mustang, looking up at the Team WRT BMW of Footy Brecha. This is the race of the lead. Keep in mind, these drivers, teammates, friends, off of the racetrack. They are currently on a racetrack. They don't know each other. They don't like each other. But hopefully they are able to race this out respectfully between the two of them. Because if they don't, I won't ever hear the end of it. Back to you, Katrina.
I just want to point out that on the back of Philip Bridges' car it says "We are a team," and I wonder if Lawrence has seen that.
No, he can't see that. From his perspective, he can't see that. That decal does not exist. Team? What team? The team. You know, there's no I in team, but there is a me. You know, kind of thing.
It's a very wide.
Martin Lawrence going on a circuit safari there.
I wonder if that's lost him enough time that he won't be able to catch up to him for the corner.
I'm unsure why the windscreen wiper has stopped working. Studio 397, I would like to submit a bug report, but beyond that, it was working earlier, as you recall. It was working earlier. It has stopped for whatever reason. Submitting live bug reports here, potentially early access game, LMU, but nevertheless, those two are going to race each other for the lead. Martin Lawrence and Brecha. Ryan Gill in third place has lost ground on them. Angela Scotty nowhere near anybody in the John Dalton zone. We'll call it the Scotty zone for this race in particular. Liggins Watts now doing such good. Is Scotty an AM? I don't think. Is Scotty an AM? I don't know.
I can tell you in a minute.
We'll look that up for a minute, but one of the two of them is, and whomever it is leading.
Scotty is a pro driver.
Okay, Angela Scotty's a pro, so Tom Watts is the leading AM, as we said earlier. Miguel Martins has tried to fight Lily Armstrong, has won that fight, and has now set their sights on Tom Watts for sixth place.
Jesse, I have a question for you. If you're Vermac and you're currently sitting in 10th position, but you know that your car was in first and has the potential to be very fast, what do you do? Like, you've been down the pits twice. Like, How do you think they're feeling? Like, what do you think their strategy for the rest of the race is going to be? Got 22 minutes left.
Do you want me to be blunt?
Yep.
If I had a button that would end all life on Earth, if I was Vermac, I'd hit that button right now. That's how pissed off I am. I'm super mad. I'm mad that the pit stop didn't go my way. I had to come back in. That Breccia would just not leave me alone long enough to get a little bit of a gap, which I think is all it would have taken to be completely fair. Of course, Breccia doesn't have any interest in doing that because why would you if you can go up there and take the lead? I think they had the wrong strategy. I think they had the wrong setup too, and I think also they made some wrong calls. So Vermac, if I'm Vermac, I'm absolutely fuming here, and that's not how you want to take the lead if you are Martin Lawrence. And in fact, he will not. He'll give that back up in Lacombe this time through. He actually gives up a little bit more time just for good measure, and they'll go back at it again. But that's sort of the rapport that you have whenever you have years of racing with somebody like Lawrence and Breccia do. You can kind of do this kind of thing and get away with like, oops, I sent it in there. It might have even been talking to him on comm saying, I'm about to miss this corner, go wide.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
certainly very helpful indeed. Something happened. Oh, we're going to show you the replay here of what happens here. Breccia leading down the Kimmel straight. We're going to see exactly what went wrong for Martin Lawrence. Does he just miss the braking point? Yeah, he misses the braking point and he's too far down the inside is what it is. And luckily, of course, I think communication saved an error there. But back to the Vermac question. Yeah, I'm fuming. I'm absolutely fuming right now. But no, you don't give up because he is right behind Rizov for ninth place. You can still get good points, and you've got to think about this. You've got to get as many championship points as you possibly can. You can't lose your head right now. You've got to pick up the pieces and know that there's, 4 more rounds of this championship. You've been so strong. You're likely going to be strong next week. You've just got to eat this round. But in the process of that, get everything you can, gather yourself back up. And that's exactly what Vermac's doing. Has taken Rizov for ninth place and may have enough time to go get Armstrong for eighth here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this we've seen it before, Jesse, where the championships in the last round can come down to literal like points, like 1 or 2 points, 1 point, you know. So, you know, that point that you gain here today, you know, that 2 points that you gain here today can be the difference between winning and being in second. So, yeah, absolutely great. As I can see that on the timer screen, we're having a bit of backwards and forth from the leaders as well. So.
Absolutely all over each other here in the final 20 minutes of today's race. If last week was racing by numbers, this week is racing by wild cards, but Martin Lawrence took the lead but gets a bad run through Radion. Here comes Footy Breccia, who comes around the outside defensive line from Martin Lawrence. The BMW side by side, they're neck and neck coming up to Lacombe, and a little bit of better braking that time by Breccia. And they're still going to be side by side. This is not the section of the racetrack you want to be side by side, but somehow Martin Lawrence able to convert the position again, weaving in and out of traffic as Breccia just trying to be wherever Martin Lawrence isn't, trying to round off or diamond off the corner in Brussels that time down into speakers, but Martin Lawrence holds fast there. I thought for a second a couple of more millimeters, Breccia would have been clear in Lacombe. Not the case. Martin Lawrence retakes the lead.
Yeah, absolutely. Some great overtaking, some great driving from both of these drivers. Like you say, they are friends off the track, so you'd hope that that would be the case. But sometimes, you know, friendly rivalry is, you know, just as good as not so friendly rivalry. So, yeah, always great to see great racing. I don't think this will be the last that we see of Breccia. I think he's going to want it, and he's coming back.
But Joe Rodriguez made a funny comment in our chat earlier. He's talking about there not being thunderstorms and assumed that we had to tie Ryan Gill up to keep him from choosing thunderstorms. Well, of course, Ryan Gill's in this race, so whatever he does, he has to experience. So maybe that was impactful. Oh, half spin right there by one of the Mustangs.
Yeah, it looks like Andy Cotton may have just taken a little bit of a knock from someone. Ted is saying that he thinks he had a little crash. So hopefully That wasn't the case, and no one touched him. But at the same time, he's definitely lost in positions. Looks like. Oh, okay. It looks like that car is letting him back through, which will be Carlo. There we go. So, absolute great sportsmanship when you see something like that. He's clearly, obviously tapped him and then slowed down and lost positions to give him back that position. So, absolutely great driving and great sportsmanship. Looks like he's going to take it back anyway, because maybe that car is a little bit more damaged than we expected.
All credit to Carlo D'Orazio there. Realized that, nope, that was my mistake. Gave up their own track position and time to make sure that they go back and they do the pass. Knew that they were quicker, but went to do the pass in the right way. But off of the racetrack there for D'Orazio, and then all of a sudden Cotton right back on him there to try and remake the pass. You do not want to be too wide this section of the racetrack in the dry, and able to sort it out. And the Mustang very nearly going around, able to hang on to it as these cars are, the rooster tails getting bigger and bigger here this stage in the race, and they're becoming more and more treacherous. But all that said, and all the worry I had for Angela Scotti, by the way, being out there on the worn wet weather tires, Katrina, they've lost half a second maybe to a full second in the past 15 minutes or so. I think they're going to be fine.
Yeah, I also think that they're going to be fine. And like you say, a makeup of 20 places is phenomenal. Obviously, hats off to Scotty. Hopefully continuing on, and even not to have an issue with earlier on in the race when it was like the track conditions were definitely drier, and their wet tires would have been probably not the best to drive on. Yeah, congratulations to her and being able to drive on a drier track with wet tires.
Indeed, indeed. Got a couple of drivers from Northern Ireland in today's race. Love to see that. Billy Armstrong doing well, 8th place. Certainly had their fair share of cars having incidents around them today, but it's been a quiet, workmanlike day for Armstrong. Qualified well, has run well. And of course, if you're unaware, Armstrong races with a gamepad controller, does not race with a wheel. And that is, I know a lot of people would see that as a hindrance, but to them, it is sort of an advantage in some ways. Their ability to use a gamepad, though, to me is just nothing short of incredible. You think about a racing wheel that has usually 900 degrees of rotation. Thumbstick has many percent less than that, obviously. So very quick, very precise movements you have to make, and you can see Armstrong doing exactly that. So it just goes to show you there's many different control schemes that are available, and they can be all equally viable. But to this racetrack right now, Katrina, it doesn't matter what your control scheme is. This racetrack right now is absolutely evil.
Yeah, absolutely. As we see Ivan come down the pit lane. Unaware whether they're going to take tyres or what's happening here. Maybe they've decided to. Looks very slow.
Ooh, he stalled it. Yeah, he stalled it. Exiting the pit stop was fine, but Ivan stalled the car, had to refire it and get it back going. Dude, I'm curious about something. As you are a European, if I asked you to point to North Macedonia on a map, could you?
I'll be straight honest, Jesse. No, I probably could not.
I could point to the region, as Ted has just said. I could point to the region that it's in. I could almost certainly not pinpoint which one it is. Giving a shout out to Assassin's Creed. You go to North Macedonia in Assassin's Creed? Oh, Zach Vermack has DNF from the pole position to the pit lane. Zach Vermack has DNF'd out of this race. That's not what they wanted. And I worry that that might have been a self-inflicted incident. And it was. Let's see. Oh, and this is not where you think it is. This is going down into Bruxelles. Let's see exactly what's happened here as they try to get down into Bruxelles. They just lose it. Oh my goodness, a very strange wiggle there. They just lose the car unless somebody's into the back of them, which I highly doubt that's the case. They've just lost the car here and they've backed it all the way into the dirt. The car's already broken at this point. What in the world?
I've never, I've never seen that before, Jesse. But Ted has just alluded, and I thought the same thing, that maybe it was a hardware issue. Um,
It, it,
okay, I'm gonna just
it
cut in
could
and say
be.
update from Vermac. He said the game put him on mediums even though he chose wets.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it does. I think I know what Vermac's talking about. It does change you. Um, if you come down pit lane or the session changes, it will revert it back to default. But maybe that's what he's talking about, unless it really did do a sort of a gremlin in the code there. But
Maybe,
Frank,
maybe that's the reason that we saw Vermac come down the pit twice.
I can almost guarantee that's what happened there. Frank Forrest stuck there on the wall, trying to, I guess, afraid to reverse into traffic, which I think is very smart and very smart on Forrest's behalf there to not back up too far into traffic. We've seen that in various sims over the years here on RCI where cars back up too early and it goes completely wrong. But for Vermac, it's going to be a day to forget, Katrina. I think we can all agree a championship, a season that started off knocking him out of the park. Well, it come to an end here with a DNF, but going to have to come back in a major way in round number 3.
Yeah. Not that I don't doubt that we'll see that car back and we'll see that car, out the front racing again. It's unfortunate to end the day, like we said, any points are better than no points, and unfortunately he's going to end the day on no points, which is not great, but still a long way to go. We're only on the second race of the championship, so yeah, not great, but definitely one that we'll see again, I'm sure.
7 DNFs, folks. 7 DNFs today. I think Callum's being a bit cheeky in our chat about the North Macedonia thing. He thinks he's very clever. Oh, excuse me. And also, I can't count. It's 8 DNFs.
Eight cars, Jesse. It's not
Yep.
great, but with the weather conditions, the track conditions we've seen today, yeah, I'm not surprised, to be honest.
Yeah, the weather's absolutely thrown them all for a loop here, is what's happened. And the drivers that are out there, let's be completely honest, Katrina, they're hanging on. And they're doing their level best to keep the cars on the racetrack. And those that can't are falling by the wayside. And that's where you've seen the incidents. Other than the one multi-car incident that we saw earlier on, that Callum Kerrigan was involved in. I think Verstappen was also involved in that incident. Other than that, it's all been single car incidents where they have sort of run out of luck, for lack of a better term. Carlo D'Orazio, continuing to fight here, is going to be gifted the gift of being alone after Peter Varga has decided to come down the pit lane here.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. Seems maybe
Oh, look at this.
there's a fair few cars. Is it drying up on the track, Jesse?
Indy Cotton is in the pit lane, and Campbell also back down the pit lane. All these cars are in the bottom half of the field, but they would have all been on wets. I have no idea. There's something going on out there with the conditions that we just don't understand. Is what's happening here, because
Yeah, absolutely.
there's 3 or 4 different pit strategies going on, and I think we've overlooked something, and by virtue, they've overlooked something. Because everyone, best I could tell, could make it to the end of their virtual energy, so it wasn't that. So why they had to come back down pit lane, I'm unsure.
Yeah.
We are
I'm
all perplexed in the box right now. We're going to be asking a lot of questions down in the garage after today's race. Final 6.5 minutes of the race today. Ryan Cassidy continuing to try and make up a spot here for 12th. That's Ball directly in front of them in the 46 car. How's Rossi? Is Rossi in this split? How's Rossi doing? But one final time today, just want to give everyone a shout out. Thank you so much for being with us here today and every day. Continuing coverage this weekend of more great endurance racing. The next round of the RSS Endurance Championship, the Ready Set Sim Endurance Championship over on iRacing. Round number 3 from Laguna Seca, 2 hours, 40 minutes of racing in that category. Ted Edwards, myself, John Dalton will take you the entire way. Pull up a chair. It's going to be a great evening sport. I can guarantee you that. John Dalton and me back in the booth. After it's been a little while since John and me have been in the booth, and you know Ted's always going to bring it for you. So it's gonna be a fun 3 hours. Already up on YouTube. Click the little reminder. It'll let you know when we go live tomorrow evening. More other racing events going on in RCI as well. Of course, starting Monday, the Super Trofeo Season 2 Championship starts. Still time to sign up for that event. It's Super Trofeo cars. Come on. In ACC. It's going to be a lot of fun. I believe that championship starts off at Monza and goes through a 5-race calendar. Super Trofeo, ACC, still time to sign up. RaceRCI.com. Of course, Night Owl, Hyper Sprint in full effect right now. They're going to go to Portugal this weekend as well. For more on those series and others coming up, RaceRCI.com. And one final shout out to our partners, Ready Set Sim, Coach Dave Delta, Green Man Gaming, Moser Racing, and Motorsport UK. Thank them so much for their partnership and support. That said, big thank you all for being with us, for liking, subscribing, following. And we, of course, hope to see you tomorrow for iRacing's RSS 2 hours, 40-minute race at Laguna Seca. Katrina, if round number 1 at Algarve was steady as she goes, today has been anything but.
Yeah, Jesse. After the first round of this championship being dominated by the Astons, I did think maybe we were going to see the same thing. Maybe we were just going to see an Aston dominating championship. That has not been the case today. Like it just has not. Obviously, we've seen many cars come and go, and obviously pits and weather and everything play a factor into it today. Obviously, the only thing that we've not really spoke about very much, bar obviously once or twice, is the virtual energy. It definitely has not been an issue here today with the old the pits and stuff that's happened anyway. So yeah, definitely different to the first round. Definitely we've had some casualties here, and hopefully we can see everybody back next week, and yeah, for a better and more promising, maybe less rain-filled race.
Well, we are going back to Interlagos in 1 week's time, and the last time we were at Interlagos, it was a wet then dry affair, as it often is in South America. We hope, for the driver's sake, that it's a dry, sunny, beautiful race there in 1 week's time for them. But RCI calendar looking absolutely stacked. We've got RSS Endurance Championship Racing and iRacing Saturday. We've got the start of the Super Trofeo Championship on Monday. Katrina, Ted, and I will be back with you on Friday, of course. And it won't be too long And maybe we'll have World Tour 24-hour of Nürburgring action coming up on the channel in mid-May as well. A little sneak preview there of what's in the pipeline, among other things. Martin Lawrence, though, came out of nowhere, and I get to say this. I don't get to say this very often, but I will say this. I called that. I said that if he qualified well, he was going to do exactly what he always does. He's going to hang around. He's going to activate somewhere around halfway in the race. He's going to be a factor if he can just hang on. And he did, and he was, and he is, and he's on track to win his second race in LMU here on RCI TV.
Yeah, absolutely. You smashed that one out of the park. A driver who is, you know, very confident in that Ford. Very confident. We've seen him before. Actually, come back from eighth, sixth place, and dominate the rest of the race. So yeah, well deserved from Martin today. Great drive and some great clean racing and overtakes from everybody.
Yeah, it's just going to be a crazy sort of debrief, I think, for everybody here of what happened in today's race. It was certainly mixed conditions at the very beginning of the race, and it turned to complete wet, and nobody really agreed on what the right strategy was. But we don't do driver of the day officially here on RCI TV, but we like to pretend and give it away whenever we feel it's warranted. Who else could you give it to than Angela Scotti? Just what a ridiculous strategy call, and it has been knocked out of the park and backed up by pace as well. The Heart of Racing Aston has looked great up there. The lone surviving number 27 Heart of Racing car in the top 10, but has done it in a way that no other driver has. Was on the right tire at the right time, and even still on those worn tires is chasing Ryan Gill down, who has newer wet tires. Scotty's had the pace. They've had the ability. Just a brilliant go of it, and well-deserved. If we gave that award away, you'd have to think it'd be unanimous.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely fantastic racing today.
Well, Martin Lawrence started roughly inside the top 5. Ryan Cassidy's going to have to make one final pit stop here as well, and that will drop them off. Rizov will get back by them for 13, but Ryan Cassidy has run out of virtual energy in the D station car. But what can you say about Martin Lawrence, Katrina? Just hung on in 5th place, kept the leaders in their sights, used the weather and their natural ability to emerge late in the race to their advantage, and is going to win the race today. Won at Interlagos in a mixed condition. They're about to win at Spa in a mixed condition. The Proton 88, Martin Lawrence in the Mustang, is a winner again in LMU. Martin Lawrence has won it in Spa.
Yeah, absolutely great racing from Martin today. Like you said, very confident in learning the ability of that car throughout the race, and I think that's what he's done today. He's taken a car that maybe wasn't, up to scratch, and he's learned how to handle it on a track. And yeah, really happy to see him go over the line in 1st position.
Colin Campbell, yeah, with that no energy at the end, it's going to be a penalty.
I think is that the first time I've seen that, Jesse?
It isn't, but it's only happened once before that we've seen a car with no energy at the end get a penalty. We did see that in the not the hyper sprint, but the or was it hyper sprint? The first championship we did, we saw it happen once very early in the season, but we have not the multi-class multi-sprint series, but we haven't seen it happen since. It's very rare indeed. But Martin Lawrence wins it over Brecha. Ryan Gill comes home in 3rd. Scotty, the driver of the day, in 4th. Martins rounds out the top 5. Good go by Miguel Martins, who was in the wars all day fighting for those positions. Gets rewarded with a top 5. Liggins in 6th. Watts, Armstrong all the way up to 8th. Merchant, Van Driesch. All those cars coming home in the top 10. Durazio, Ball, Rizov, Mims, Mann, Campbell are going to be your top 15 unless these cars have issues coming across the line. Well, as everyone finishes up the race, ooh, a slide in the background. Might that be a position lost or gained? We're coming down into the pit lane. I think those are people pulling in after the race is over. That wasn't for position. Campbell is doing his penalty in the final lap. Milan van der Velken will come across the line and be about the last car to finish. Team WRT. Well, we saw a lot of great racing here at Spa today, but potentially the strongest of them all, Martin Lawrence. Martin, welcome in. Welcome back. Your second win here at RCI and LMU. Just an incredible job you did today. We talked about you all day, but like, you got to watch out for Martin. If he qualifies in or around the top 5, he's likely going to be strong at the end of this thing. Talk us through your day. How'd you get it done?
Hello. Yeah, well, I guess everyone else can blame Tom Bryant that it was raining again, surely. Yeah, well, didn't have really too much practice, but Mustang just feels great on the wet. Way better than the Beamers, it seems. Traction allowed it. So yeah, I just kept it on the road, except except few occasions. For example, like outbraking myself into
we,
the
we
comp.
may we may have noticed that. We also may have noticed when you were trying to overtake Philippe, we noticed that you ran wide in Radion once. We saw that
Yes,
occur
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah,
as
yeah, yeah.
well. But it did look like you had sort of a grip advantage for the majority, maybe not a braking advantage into Lacombe, but it's a grip advantage certainly. But in the end, Martin, it's a check 1-2.
Oh yeah, well, check it out, I guess.
You
Yeah,
did.
it was fun. It was fun with Philip to Batlink as we were on the voice together, and I had grip advantage a lot. He was like, I don't know, 9% on the tires better. I had a higher percentage, which was odd. Might be the one extra lap, but not sure about that. But as I said, the traction on the Mustang allowed it to turn for in the middle sector where I was gaining a lot. I had my issues in the Radeon multiple times, but yeah, well, it's a brick.
Yeah, I think a lot of people struggled. 8 DNFs, maybe 9 in the end of the day. Most of them coming through Radeon, as you might expect. Martin, before we let you go, can you talk about? We talked about on the broadcast. Philippe is a friend of yours. He's a competitor to you, but he's also a teammate. Sometimes you've known him for a long time. How do you deal with that in a heads up situation for a win in a race that matters like this? How do you approach that on all fronts?
Or we are fighting like no, like normal human beings. Maybe we are giving each other like a little bit more room that we can give to the others. But still, you seem like we are not really uh, easing it to the other guy, like letting go and such. It's part of the racing, not let go that easily. And we are friends. Yeah, well, happens. Even touch happens. But hey, we still race against each other, and we know each other as well. So all the flaws, uh, we know how to deal with them, one or another. So that's part of the fun. So yeah, we're racing hard. There are no team orders whatsoever.
Final question I've got to ask. This puts you in a position to compete for this championship. What do you think your strategy is? How big of a shot do you think you have taking on everyone now that you've ran well 2 weeks in a row? You had to come from the middle of the pack a week ago. This week you start closer to the front. You get the win. Is it realistic? Are we thinking about the championship win now?
I have no clue, honestly, because it's unlucky that those fast Astons didn't finish, or of like finishing the bottom, kinda. But they are strong on one lap at least in the race. I think if and also Chris Verstappen joined the fight, and he would be faster with the Ford, I bet. But yeah, those guys are quick, so I will be just delivering the consistency. If the pace will be up there, I will be happy to see it. But yeah, for now, I'm just like enjoying the drive.
Anybody you want to say hi to, shout out?
Hi to everyone who supports me, teams, friends, teammates. Happy to see them all. Happy to hear from them all. And thanks, obviously, RCI for doing this champ. I'm enjoying it. And congratulations to the rest of the people who survived on the podium.
Well, we absolutely enjoy having you. A complete checkmate of today's race. Martin Lawrence, a winner again in LMU competition. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Martin Lawrence, to something I will call the Varga Report. Peter Varga, talk us through. Tell us about how your day went, because certainly it was a different view than it was for our race leader.
I managed to get my own bit of thing actually named after me. Oh, well, how wholesome for you, Jesse. I feel honored.
Of course.
How was today? Can I swear?
Mildly.
No, fine. Okay. Uh, I got slightly fucked by the starting widget, I would say myself. I don't. Someone probably did not get off the line properly. Did not know how to get off the line properly, and yeah, you know how it goes in LMU when a couple of cars just wait for longer. The widget gets slightly mad at you, and he just told me, "Slow down, okay, slow down. Tell me to speed up, okay, I'm speeding up." Then it just says the line you don't want to hear. That's erratic driving, and I already can see my impeding doom. Like, oh no, it's happening again. So yeah, I'll have to probably look more into this, how it actually works, because it's kind of getting annoying sometimes. But I learned something new also today. The virtual energy tank works differently than what I thought it works. So,
Do tell.
ah, so as I was like, I can put enough fuel into the car for the entire race and not have to do a pit stop. Wonderful. Well, then it started raining. I was like, oh well, I might just do a short stop and not have to put anything in the car and call it a day and go. What I did not account for was the fact that the fuel ratio actually somewhat matters. So I put in only a little bit of fuel, but not enough virtual energy to go until the race. Then I noticed like 5 laps after I'd done the stop. I'm like, why do I have only 11 laps? There's still like 15 to go. So I learned that. Also, it seems like that it doesn't matter how much virtual energy you take, it's still 26 seconds for stationary time. But without that, the racing was really nice, really fun in the rain, I have to say. LMU is probably one of the few games where I actually enjoy the rain and the physics, so it was very nice.
Well, there you have it. Peter, I got to ask, what do you think is a realistic expectation of your season 2 races in?
Considering I did not do last race because of technical difficulties, I don't know. I honestly have no idea who the people around me are, if they are in my class or not, because you can't actually see that here. So in LMU, but I think P2 in the championship is not out of the window. I'm really confident I can do that.
Well, there you have it. Varga, anybody you want to shout out before we wrap up today?
Oreosh, my beautiful man. No homo.
That's weird. I say the same thing to him. That is weird. I have to justify it the same way. Anyone else?
No.
Well, there you have it. That is the Varga Report for this round of the LMGT Sprint Series. Thank you for bringing that up because we were curious. We saw several cars come into pit lane. We knew there was an issue. We thought it was a penalty. We appreciate the confirmation. Ladies and gentlemen, Peter Varga. And now back to my co-host, Katrina. Katrina, what a crazy day here with the changeable weather. We didn't expect to have it make that big of an impact, but it absolutely did. Humongous attrition because of the wet weather and incidents. Can you sum up the day?
Chaotic is the only word I think I can use. From obviously seeing the Aston in first to DNFing, from everything, from the tires to the weather, everything today has just been, yeah, very chaotic. Definitely a spa to remember for me. Yeah, definitely another one to add to the books of things where maybe certain drivers don't want to remember. But looking forward to what next week brings.
Of course, we'll be live right here on RCI TV, same time, same place, for another 60 minutes of racing from of course, Interlagos. We'll see you in about 10 hours from now or something for the next round of the RSS Endurance Series on iRacing. 2 hours, 40 minutes of racing from Laguna Seca. On behalf of everyone here at RCI, we thank you so much for being with us for this championship. Again, one more reminder, the Super Trofeo Season 2 season opener is on Monday. Still time to go to racerci.com and sign up for that on ACC Mondays. We'll see you all for RSS Endurance Series next here on RCI TV. On behalf of Katrina, myself, Jesse Lee, Ted Edwards, and everyone here that makes this broadcast go, thank you very much for watching. And until next time, have a good one.
You ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Get behind the wheel, let's go. Grip the road, feel the flow. Thunder roaring, steel alive. Live this dream and drive. Tires burning with gasoline. Push the limits, chasing green. One shot, don't slow. Go on, we'll take control. Engines scream alive tonight. Blazing past the red line. Outrun the night, won't lose this fight. Follow the road, red line for show. We're chasing taillights, don't let go. Under the stars, we'll go so far. This is who we are. Chasing taillights.